When I first started posting videos, I realized how much the advice that I have either heard, that I have binged watched on YouTube, or that I have read up on, it didn't really work. What most people don't tell small content creators is that it's a lonely journey. Like trying to put yourself out there to people that you don't know on the internet can be a very scary thing. I don't know about anybody else. If you have constantly, especially if you're on TikTok, if you have constantly heard the advice of you need to post every day, you need to post multiple times a day, or you need to post every time you open the app, which I open the app a lot. I'm not posting that much. It was very overwhelming in the very beginning when I started to really post on there. And then the engagement I would get or the negative comments, it just made it so hard to keep going. And I feel like when you're just starting, you want to take all the advice you can get and then you want to apply all the advice that you're given, right? And so when you try, and let's say, for example, that your feedback that you get is not what you thought you would get, low viewership or low engagement or not a lot of followers, things like that, it makes you second guess this journey. And also, when you start out, you don't really have any other content creator friends to kind of confide in with. You could probably confide in a friend or a partner or even a parent, but like they will never truly understand what you're feeling or how you're feeling because this is not something most people end up doing. This is something that people may dabble in and like forget about. Your first few videos, they're not going to be perfect. It doesn't matter what anyone tells you. Your first few videos, whether you do long form, whether you do short form, it's never gonna be perfect. I'm a perfectionist myself. It will take me so long to output something just because of the fact that I'm like, oh, I want this to be so perfect so that way it does really well. And then 9 times out of 10, it doesn't even do that well because I was overthinking it being perfect. You know, your first few videos, you're figuring out the content that you're putting out, you're figuring out how you want to portray yourself in your content, what type of content you're even doing. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. So when you're just starting, I will say the one good tip of advice that I have heard when people say, or other creators say, oh, just start. I used to hate that so much. But I understand it now because the idea is that the longer you wait to start, you delay your start even more. And then you overthink it even more. And then you're trying to perfect it even more. And it's like when you first start, that first video is most people are not really even going to see it. It might not be till your fifth or your 10th video that you really start to get that momentum. So just remember that every creator that you have watched, their first few videos were not that great. They were not perfect. They just decided to sit down and put it out. And they kept doing that until they got to a point that they figured out, okay, this is the personality I want people to see online. This is the content that I want people to see. This is how I want to show up. This is how I want my thumbnails to look. This is how I want to interact with my community. You figure that out over time, but you'll never figure it out in the beginning. So a big thing that I feel like I'm learning for myself personally is that consistency does not always equal growth. I feel like when I first started posting, I had an issue with being consistent in terms of posting often. And so I was more intrigued on creating that consistency of posting. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm consistently posting every day like I've been told to do, right? And I'm not seeing no growth. It's not so much about consistency. It's about, I would say, your discipline to your content when you're first starting. I used to feel like I didn't know how the algorithm would work. I didn't know, like, if I put this out, is this going to get pushed? Or if I try something new, is that going to get pushed back? And I started to understand and realize, like, algorithm doesn't know me yet. So I can't assume that this video is going to get 10,000 views, or I can't assume that this new thing that I'm trying is going to even hit 1,000 because it's figuring me out. It doesn't really know my content. I don't even know my own content, right? So I can't be too frustrated over that. So what I started to learn is consistency means that you are showing up for yourself and for your content. So if your consistency looks like for me, I may post 3 or 4 times a week. That's my consistency. Because me posting every day, I promise you, it will lead you to burnout. I don't care what nobody says. I don't know how many people, whether they're a streamer or just a regular content creator, that posting every day, it will burn you out. At some point, it made me feel like the content I was putting out was like if I was throwing something at the wall and just seeing if it would stick. Like at some point, it's like, okay, I need to reflect on my content, not just keep posting clips, or if I'm streaming or trying to make a video that I'm, like, oh my God, this one has to work out to make sure. Just remind yourself, as long as you keep showing up on the times that you have chosen where you can show up, that is where your consistency starts to grow. That's where it really starts to create that foundation that most content creators need. Also, in the beginning, look at your numbers as exposure, look at your analytics as exposure. Just because something may hit 50,000 views or 100,000 or even a million, that doesn't mean every person that watched that wants to follow you. So if you hit 50,000, let's say you get only 200 followers. It's like, don't be upset, be happy. Like 200 people genuinely like you. They genuinely want more of your content, so they chose to follow you. But as the internet works and as you interact with the internet as well, you don't follow everybody that you watch. You don't follow or interact with, every video that they put out, right? Big one. You don't need the best gear to start. You don't. This camera, it is not mine. I am borrowing it. I do this for all my content. I take my boyfriend's camera because for the longest he kept saying that, oh, I need a better camera. I need a better camera. We both have like, regular webcam. And I used to be like, oh, no, you don't. You just need to start, right? Which the idea that that's good. And then I recently looked back at my old stuff and I was like, whoa, I really did need a new camera, which I thought was funny. But like the lighting, or it really was just the lighting in my home is not that great. I literally have like one window. So it's like now as a content creator, I'm like, damn, I really need better lighting. Like that is really important. You don't need like a super expensive microphone. This is like $50. This is a Fifi Fine microphone. I think that's how you pronounce that. This is a good quality mic to me for $50. It's not bad. This boom arm, I think it's like $10. I have a light in front of me. I believe I got off of Amazon. It's like $30. The webcam I used to have, I think it might have been 30, $40 at the time. But I'm using like really basic stuff. I would say the only thing, depending on what you're doing, so like let's say you want to be like a gaming creator or like a streamer or whatever, the only thing I would say, hey, you really need a good computer. It is okay if you start to pivot from the content you started off with. And I really sat and I thought, I'm like, you know what? If I really want to make this a career, if anyone has ever watched Wizard Liz, there was one thing she said, how she started her channel was like, what is a skill that you have that somebody would pay for? And I was like, oh, well, I give really good advice. I'm literally told that all the time, right? Why not just sit down and do that? Like, it's okay to pivot from what I'm doing. It's different. I may worry like, oh, is anybody going to watch? Or is anybody going to follow? If nobody likes it, blah, blah, blah. Those thoughts are normal. And even creators that are like way up there and they're bigger, they have the same thought where they may start off playing games and maybe they want to pivot and do something else. And they're afraid like, oh my gosh, what if my followers don't follow over me to this other channel where I'm doing other stuff? When you start off and you're learning other things that or you're finding out other things you want to do, it's pretty much helping you create your own identity online, like how you want to show up. I know most people say, oh, niche down, niche down. I would not give that advice at all. I would never give it because I don't think it's logical for a person to have only one thing to talk about or one type of topic. Because even me, I'm like, I have so many different interests. So I'm like, there's no way I could only just do just gaming. Like, I enjoy games, but there's other things that I like to do. So how can I make a channel that revolves around all the other interests or topics that I have? Also, if not in the beginning, as time goes on, it's normal to feel like you may want to quit. I have felt like that a multitude of times. And so I would be like, damn, is this even worth doing? Like, can I even make a career out of this and provide like long term, like longevity and for, a while? Sometimes when you don't have that motivation from within yourself and then you also don't have it around you, it is normal to feel like you want to quit. And in those moments, you have to sit down with yourself and be like, you know what? I started this for a reason. I do have people that support me, even if let's just say it's just my friends for now. I do have that support. I do have it around me. And I have to remind myself why I need to keep going, why I should keep going. And last but not least, before your content gets to a point where that growth is coming in that you in particular may want, you will always start out with slow bursts of success. And when you have those slow bursts of success, it's okay to sit and enjoy it, because when you first start, you may only get 30 views, you may only get 100, and then you may wake up one day, you may get 1,000, and then you may wake up another day, you may get 10,000, 50,000, maybe it'll hit 1 million. The growth will happen eventually. exponentially. It is not going to be ASAP. It's not going to be because, oh my God, I posted every day for a month and blah. It's different for everybody. It's not always going to happen overnight, but it will happen slowly. And then once it does happen and you get that momentum, it's going to be like a whole new world pretty much. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is to show up as yourself. Don't create this like fake personality, or if you see like a content creator's doing well because they do this or they do that, don't copy them. So hopefully in this video, I was able to throw some truths out that I think most people, when they are small content creators, go through. And this journey is not an easy one. It could be one that is very, very easy to give up on. But I promise you, if you keep going, if you keep showing up consistently for yourself, if you make the time to figure out what you want your content to be, what community you want to have, what type of branding you want to show, it will come together in the way and the timing that you want. Everybody has their own time when they shine. It's never going to be at the same time as somebody else. For some people, it may take a month, a couple months, maybe even a couple weeks. For some people, it could take years. But as long as you're showing up consistently and you are giving it your all, but not to burn out, it will work out for you. And I know it's definitely going to work out for me. It is just a matter of time. But if I did not sit down, turn on this camera, and decide to make this video, I would not believe that it would happen. So with that, I shall see you in the next one.